it's Morgan Young with Long Story Shorts. We know a lot happened this week and we've got a lot to get to, but I also know it is Easter weekend and you definitely want to know what's going on, especially if you've got plans. So let's get straight to senior meteorologist Jesse Huila, who's got a look at your weekend forecast.
More rain is on the way as we get into Easter weekend. Here's the latest. Let me start with your Easter weekend forecast. Here it is. So we are expecting showers and thunderstorms mainly Friday night and especially Saturday morning. And some of that rain will be heavy. So if you have outdoor plans Saturday morning, I would really think of a plan B. Temperatures not bad. Sunday for Easter looks dry. Temperatures not bad either. High around 70. Let's go through the timeline of the rain. Looking at Friday morning, looks dry, mostly cloudy. As we get into the afternoon and evening, I won't rule out an isolated shower thunderstorm, especially northwest of the Metroplex. Maybe some small hail or gusty winds with one or two of those. But then if you watch, as we get later in the day, especially later in the night, the rain coverage really goes up as a cold front starts to move in from the northwest. Widespread rain, some thunderstorms, and with that late night, overnight round into Saturday, I don't have severe weather in the forecast, but some heavy rain is expected as we get into early Saturday morning. That's why I said if you have Saturday morning plans, it will be wet. Most of the rain moves east and southeast of the Dallas-Fort Worth area by about 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, leaving the rest of Saturday dry, and Easter Sunday looks dry too. I expect an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain widespread with this upcoming round. We really need it. The timing kind of stinks, but we'll take it.
January 10th at a recording studio on Dallas Parkway. Two musicians, one from Atlanta, one from Memphis, agreed to meet. Bradrick Davis, otherwise known as Gucci Mane, and an artist on his 1017 Records label.
The whole world been waiting on
Lontrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty,
executed a coordinated armed takeover.
Prosecutors say Williams wanted out of his recording contract, brought several associates with him to that meeting, and that Williams Jr. then pulled out what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from a bag and pointed it at Davis, demanding again that he sign the contractual release paperwork. Prosecutors say one victim was choked until nearly unconscious and that they robbed the victims of jewelry and Rolex watches and later paraded their prizes on social media. 8 of the 9 suspects were arrested this week.
If you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice.
Wednesday in Memphis, federal agents were seen at Lontrell Williams' home. And those arrested along with him include his own father, Lontrell Williams Sr., shown on surveillance video outside that recording studio.
We remain committed to investigating violent crimes like these. No matter who you are, we will fight every day alongside our partners to make our communities safer.
The suspects face federal charges of kidnapping and conspiracy. Lontrell Williams Jr., a.k.a. Pooh Shiesty, was just released from federal prison last October after serving 3 years for shootings in Florida.
There's a certain point where you know it's over.
The Fort Graham Baptist Church is gone.
Our sanctuary was beautiful.
The pews that once welcomed the people of Hill County, Texas, are lost in a pile of rubble.
The back wall was our offices right here, and our prayer room was right there.
It's all destroyed in a blaze. Pastor Brian Hill says he couldn't fight.
The windowsill was catching on fire, and I kept trying to put it out, but the flames were so hot and they're so big.
The Hill County Sheriff's Office says the ATV went up in flames Wednesday, caught the sanctuary on fire. Then the thrift store Pastor Hill says they opened to serve a community in dire need, some who struggle with addiction.
We set out to really go after those that are in the bondage of the enemy, right? They're in hopelessness and despair.
Now he's asking for help to fulfill that mission.
We just need bodies, whether they know what they're doing or not.
They're trying to fix up the building the fire didn't touch.
Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
With help from people like Chris Silva, who specializes in restoration.
Those scrubbers delivered for you and let them start running.
So they can welcome people back for Easter Sunday service.
Helping people restore. It's the same business you're in.
Yeah.
Even though their sanctuary is gone,
there was another day in history where it seemed like all hope was lost.
His faith is strong. Pulled from the ashes,
there's hope.
The Fort Graham Baptist Church cross is still standing.
It was obviously much easier than the cross that Jesus had to carry.
A story of resurrection.
We're just trusting in God.
He will share no matter where they are.
If he wants it rebuilt, we'll rebuild it.
The Hill County Sheriff's Office says 3 firefighters suffered heat-related injuries. 1 firefighter was taken to the hospital. They do not suspect foul play, but they are asking for help from the Texas State Fire Marshal's office to determine a cause. In Whitney, I'm Brittany Costello.
The Meadow project is set to be a major development on 402 acres north of Josephine in Collin and Hunt counties. But lately, it's just been major hurdle after hurdle.
We have a situation where the state has decided that they're going to pick on a particular religious group.
This week, an injunction has been issued against a municipal utility district known as MUD, and they approve water, sewer, and drainage. But the project's link to East Plano Islamic Center has it in Attorney General Ken Paxton's crosshairs. He said, quote, "We will continue to expose and stop anyone who attempts to exploit our governmental entities or Texas law to advance unlawful or dangerous agendas." Attorney Eric Hudson is general counsel for the developer. He says the AG's office is just grasping at anything.
If the Attorney General came in and sued the roofer on a house that hadn't even poured the foundation yet and then said, "We've stopped them from building a roof," well, sure you have, but we haven't even laid the foundation yet.
The AG's office argues the MUD board orchestrated an unlawful takeover and helped the project evade state oversight. Dan Cogdill also represents the developer on another front.
I get it. He's in a battle with Cornyn. I understand that, but come on, Ken, do better. They're going to walk right into a lawsuit if they keep this up.
The developer says their commitment is to an inclusive community with equal housing opportunities. That statement has not resonated for some, but added scrutiny.
Sounds like to me is the state doesn't really know what's going on. They're just swinging for the fences trying to get temporary injunctions for the Attorney General. Community Capital Partners is still operating. The development's still ongoing. There's nothing that is stopping our progress at this point.
The attorney reminds us the injunction is not against the developer, but the utility district. A bench trial is set for November. In DFW, I'm Jobin Puneker.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here.
Planning an event like the FIFA World Cup takes years of coordination.
We've already had many other announcements. Today's is probably one of the most important of the entire tournament.
But how fans actually get there may be the most important piece.
We're going to move another 1 million persons as part of the transportation plan.
On Thursday, FIFA officials and the North Central Texas Council of Governments unveiled their transportation plan, 2 years in the making.
There's something for everyone, and parking is just one thing that we do.
And Gaitha and Mike Davis paid close attention.
Parking is vital, and it's not that it's been left out, but it's kind of the last part of the plan.
The couple owns 7 parking lots right across the street from Fair Park, where the FIFA Fan Festival will be.
They're only interested in getting to that fan, festival. And so you want to make sure that it's seamless when they park.
Officials say on game days, fans will have several options. The Trinity Rail Express from downtown Dallas or Fort Worth will pick folks up and take them to Centerpoint Station just south of DFW Airport. From there, they'll have 125 charter buses waiting for ticketed fans to bring them to the bus hub on Nolan Ryan Expressway. You'll have from there about a half-a-mile walk to get to the stadium. Rideshare will also have a designated drop-off area, the Arlington Esports Stadium, which is about a 6/10 of a mile walk.
We're looking at shade structures. We're looking at ways to break up that walk so that if anyone needs to get out of the sun, we've got options for that.
Officials say the dark green line will take people straight to Fair Park, with more than 14,000 parking spaces, including theirs.
We're the closest to the Fair Park venue.
With so many people traveling here, everyone's goal is the same, making getting here just as memorable as the event itself. In Arlington, I'm Richard Solomon.
You pushing me for no No, it's a free country, you know? It's fine, don't change the constitution. Get out of here! This is sick! White House. لا انا جريتها ما نطيت ضربه انا جريتها لا ارجع It's a game. It's a football. This is a game. This is a soccer game. Find a forward. This is a forward. It's
He plays soccer tomorrow with
Mexico. Yeah, this is not right. It's a football game, sir. He told me that's different, something different. Throw the flag on the ground. All we American, man. All we American. What the hell is going on? Come on. تليفوني جاي لا اعتبر باني بس هذا لازم ما ادري تليفون لك انا ما جاي.
There are new calls for more oversight of automated vehicle technology, and I am not talking about those self-driving cars like you see with Waymo. I am talking about the kinds of things that your own personal car might already have, those systems that steer and brake for you. Quick warning, there's some disturbing images about to come up here. The NTSB spent 2 years looking into what caused a crash between this terribly mangled Ford and Honda in San Antonio. Why did the NTSB care? Well, because the Ford was in its hands-free driving mode when this happened. It slammed into the back of the Honda, which was sitting still on the interstate. That Honda driver was killed. They were likely under the influence. There was also a crash in Pennsylvania with a Ford in its automated mode, which is called Blue Cruise. Well, the NTSB found that in neither case did the Fords brake or steer to avoid the crash. And in both crashes, drivers, quote, over-reliance on the automated systems were contributing factors, according to the NTSB. The NTSB suggests Ford make changes to Blue Cruise so it requires more driver attention. The company told me in a statement it will take the NTSB's recommendations under serious consideration. That's just part of a longer statement, and you can read all of it in this story on WFAA.com or in our mobile app. But the NTSB went much further. It is now suggesting all automated driver systems urgently need federal safety guidelines and oversight. They put several recommendations out, and you can also read more about them on WFAA.com.
You may want to pay attention to what's happening in California and in New Mexico because it could shape what happens in Texas next. And before you spill your coffee, no, I'm not talking about some rage-bait blue state takeover. In Texas No Filter this week, we are at Hogan Alley in downtown Fort Worth, breaking down something far more important. 2 major rulings just sent a major message. Social media may not only harm kids, it could also bring legal consequences. In California, a jury found Instagram and YouTube contributed to a young woman's mental health struggles, saying the platforms were built to be addictive. And then over in New Mexico, a jury went even further, ruling Meadow knowingly harmed children and failed to protect them, ordering hundreds of millions in damages. Now, some are calling this a major shift, a warning shot, if you will, to big tech and to lawmakers. Now, reeling it back into Texas, this debate actually isn't new. Should there be restrictions on social media? Take Republican State Representative Jared Patterson out of Frisco, for example. He has pushed for age restrictions for years, but has never gotten a bill across the finish line. His closest attempt was last year with a proposal that would have restricted access to social media for anyone younger than 18. Now, with California and New Mexico courts backing concerns about harm to kids, his argument may carry more weight. In fact, Representative Patterson told me personally he is going to try again in 2027. So the big question now, will Texas follow the lead of the courts in New Mexico and California, or will we continue to leave social media up to parents? Either way, the legal tide is shifting when it comes to social media, and Texas could be next. Until next week, stay civil and stay caffeinated.
Now let's get to some stories that have got folks talking. Egrets taking over a Fort Worth neighborhood, a prehistoric find, and Texas honoring 2 troopers killed by Bonnie and Clyde. Here's senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez.
A salute and the national anthem was played
as Texas DPS honored 2 fallen heroes. Their story has been overshadowed for more than 90 years by their killers.
The names of those who took their lives became legends, even romanticized, dramatized, distorted by time and popular culture. But you know what? Today that changes.
Now, for the first time, they were honored by DPS. 2 Marine tactical vessels were dedicated to troopers H.D. Murphy and E.B. Wheeler at Lake Grapevine. They were murdered in 1934 by the notorious crime couple Bonnie and Clyde.
They turned around to what they thought was somebody stranded on the side of the road that needed help. Once they turned their motorcycles around, they were met by fire by Bonnie and Clyde, and that's where they were both killed.
That's something, isn't it?
For Leonard Murphy, this is personal. The 82-year-old is the nephew of Trooper H.D. Murphy.
That's fine.
He shared newspaper clippings and photos of his uncle. Trooper Murphy was supposed to get married on Friday the 13th, 12 days after he was murdered.
I've always been unlucky, so maybe this will change my luck. Unfortunately, it didn't.
It was a heartbreaking moment that is still felt generations later.
But at his funeral, his bride-to-be, Marie Tullis, wore her wedding dress.
Justice eventually caught up to Bonnie and Clyde, who died in a hail of gunfire.
Well, it's nice that a Texas Ranger was put in charge of finding them, and he did in Louisiana. And they got their just Texas rewards.
For decades, this story was defined by violence. Now, it's defined by heroism. In Grapevine, I'm Rebecca Lopez. Well, Central Texas just got a major prehistoric surprise. 2 scientists who were snorkeling through an underwater cave near San Antonio stumbled on a treasure trove of fossils down there. You're looking at video from that excursion. Among their findings, a giant tortoise and a lion-sized relative of the armadillo. Fossils, that is. Creatures that haven't been seen in this area before, dating back around 100,000 years. These fossils giving researchers a whole new look now at the Central Texas Ice Age past and proving that the Lone Star State still has some secrets out there left to uncover. May have to rewrite some books on that one.
I think it's safe to say we all need a little hope and joy in our lives these days, right? Here's something that will bring it to you. Look at this amazing photo taken by Franz Crystal at White Rock Lake in Dallas Wednesday afternoon. The bald eagles that have made their home at the lake for several years now have 3 babies. Yes, Franz expertly captured 3 eaglets in the nest belonging to the eagles we like to call Nick and Nora. Those are the nicknames locals gave these majestic birds, and they have been through a lot. Their nest was knocked down one year by a storm. They did have eaglets that didn't survive, so here is hoping these do. And how about a giant kudos to Franz Crystal for some pretty incredible talent behind the lens.
Of all the things that could go wrong on a capsule hurtling toward the moon, wouldn't you know it? It's a toilet. The loo on Artemis II has some fancy names, from Hygiene Bay to Universal Waste Management System, but turns out it has issues, just like the ones at home. Christina Cook first reported the problem when they hit high Earth orbit, and ground teams had to come up with a way to clear the jammed fan and revive it. Going to the bathroom in zero gravity isn't the same. The astronauts have to strap their feet in to keep from floating away. And the system is designed like a vacuum, pulling the waste away from their bodies into a storage container. Lockheed Martin built the toilet as a smaller version of the one they use aboard the ISS, and it has about as much space as the bathroom on a plane. Remember, the entire capsule is only the size of 2 minivans, So this is really the only place they're truly alone.
And finally, baseball is back. Daybreak anchor Matt Howerton shows us how a former star player made his way back to the Texas Rangers.
The mane hasn't changed. Still blonde, still unmistakable.
I think it's the hair. You know, I think that gives it away. That's what the fans love.
But Travis Jankowski isn't chasing down fly balls anymore. He's back with the Rangers, but closer to the bag at first.
I'll only cut my hair if they make me cut my hair.
After winning a World Series in 2023 with the team, Jankowski now back as the Rangers' first base coach. He spent a season away from Texas in 2025, bouncing around to a few teams. Then he got a call.
Pull into my driveway and I get a call from Skip, and I'm like, "Hey, Skip, what's going on?" He said, "Hey, would you have any interest in coaching?" "Well, I want you to, maybe interview for a job as, the Rangers' first base coach." And I said, "Well, shoot, Skip. 10 minutes ago I was just working out like I was playing. I think my last game was July 8th of 2025, so knew I was getting older, knew the interest was dying down, and I was just praying kind of every night, God, give me a crystal clear sign."
And that call, enough for Jankowski and his family.
Texas, for the 2 years I was here, was my favorite of all 8 organizations I've been in. The front office cares about me as a person rather than me as a coach.
Jankowski, or Jank, or El Blondie, is a fans player, a journeyman, a clubhouse guy, and someone who stepped up big during the World Series when slugger Adolis Garcia got hurt.
The reason I succeeded is because they believed in me. When you have 25 guys and 15 coaches and 20 front office members believe in you, you have no choice but to believe in yourself.
Jankowski's chemistry and relationships with players, a big reason why manager Skip Schumacher wanted him. His closeness with those still on the team who got a ring, priceless.
It's almost like, well, I did it as a player, let's do it as a coach now. We want another one, so we're going to do everything we can to get that second banner up there.
If you've noticed, Jankowski not wearing 16 anymore over at first. He says lower numbers should be reserved for players. He's wearing 96 right now. The reason why will make you root for this guy even more.
I added up all of my kids, my wife, and my birthday, the date we were born on, it added up to 96. So I said 96 seems like a pretty good number that I don't think too many players will want.
A number not for style, but for family. And that tells you exactly who's standing at first.
That's all for this episode of Long Story Shorts. Hope you have the best Easter weekend. We'll see you back with a new episode on Monday.